Have you ever noticed something strange? At first, people listen to you. They trust your words. They believe your promises. But after some time, they stop taking you seriously. You say, "I'll wake up early tomorrow." You don't. You say, "This time I'll definitely change." You don't. You say, "I'll finish this work today." It stays unfinished. Slowly, something invisible starts breaking. Not your talent, not your dreams, your credibility. And the worst part is, most people don't even realize it is happening. They think everyone is against them. They think people are jealous. They think nobody supports them. But sometimes, people simply stop believing what we say. Today's story is not just about a shepherd boy. It is about every person who slowly loses the trust of others without even noticing. My name is Wali, and you're watching Wali Tales. Now, let's begin today's story. There was once a young shepherd who lived near a quiet village surrounded by green hills. Every morning, before the sun fully appeared, he took the village sheep to the open fields. His job was simple: watch the sheep, keep them safe, and if a wolf ever appeared, call the villagers for help. The villagers trusted him. Every day they worked hard in their farms, knowing the shepherd would protect their animals. At first, the boy did his job honestly, but after a few weeks, he became bored. The hills were silent. The sheep only ate grass. Hours passed slowly. He wanted excitement. He wanted people to notice him. One afternoon, an idea came into his mind. He climbed onto a large rock and shouted as loudly as he could, "Wolf! Wolf! Please help! The wolf is attacking the sheep!" The villagers immediately dropped everything. Farmers left their fields. Women stopped their work. Young men picked up sticks and ran toward the hills. Everyone was breathing heavily, but when they reached the top, there was no wolf. The sheep were peacefully eating grass. The shepherd boy was laughing. He laughed so hard that tears came into his eyes. "You really believed me," he said. Some villagers smiled politely. Others looked disappointed. One old farmer quietly said, "Don't joke about something that protects everyone's future." The boy ignored his words. The next day, life became boring again. He remembered how everyone had run toward him yesterday. He wanted that feeling again, so he shouted even louder, "Wolf! Wolf! Help me!" Once again, the villagers rushed toward the hills. This time they arrived even faster. Again, no wolf. Only the shepherd laughing. Now nobody laughed with him. The villagers returned home silently. On the way back, one man said, "If he keeps doing this, one day we won't believe him." The shepherd heard those words, but instead of thinking about them, he laughed again. Days passed. Everything looked normal. The villagers continued working. The shepherd continued watching the sheep. Then, one cold evening, something moved inside the tall grass. The sheep suddenly became restless. Birds flew away. The air felt different. The shepherd looked carefully. His heart started beating faster. A real wolf had appeared. It was larger than he had imagined. Its eyes stayed fixed on the sheep. For the first time, the shepherd wasn't acting. He screamed with fear, "Wolf, please help, it's real, please!" His voice echoed across the hills. The villagers heard him. Some looked up, then they looked back at their work. One farmer smiled sadly. "He is joking again." Nobody moved. The shepherd screamed louder. His voice became weaker. His eyes filled with tears. The wolf attacked. The sheep scattered in every direction. The shepherd tried to scare it away with a stick, but he was only a frightened boy. By the time the villagers finally realized something was wrong, it was too late. Several sheep were gone. The wolf had disappeared into the forest. The shepherd sat on the ground crying, not only because he had lost the sheep, but because nobody believed his truth anymore. The old farmer slowly walked toward him. He didn't shout. He didn't insult him. He simply sat beside him. After a long silence, he said, "Today the wolf didn't destroy your sheep first. It destroyed your reputation, and rebuilding that will take much longer." The shepherd lowered his head. He finally understood something that no one had been able to teach him before. Trust is built one honest action at a time, but it can disappear because of a few foolish moments. Months passed. The shepherd changed. He never lied again. He worked harder than anyone expected. Whenever people asked him for help, he came. Whenever he made a promise, he kept it. Whenever he made a mistake, he admitted it. But something had changed forever. People still remembered the boy who cried wolf. Even after becoming a better person, he had to work every single day to earn back what he had once thrown away in minutes. Years later, children in the village asked him, "What was the biggest mistake of your life?" They expected him to talk about the wolf. But he smiled sadly and answered, "My biggest mistake wasn't losing the sheep. It was teaching people not to believe me." That answer stayed with every child who heard it, because they realized something important. The wolf only came once, but the lies before it caused the real damage. Sometimes the biggest danger in life isn't one big mistake. It's the small habits we repeat every day, every excuse, every broken promise, every unnecessary joke, every fake story. Every time we say, "I'll do it tomorrow," knowing we won't, little by little, people stop expecting anything from us. And one day, even when we are serious, nobody can tell the difference.
Now let me talk to you for a moment. Maybe you have never shouted wolf, but ask yourself honestly, have you ever promised your parents something and never did it? Have you ever told your friends, "I'm leaving in 5 minutes," while you were still lying in bed Have you ever told yourself, this is the last time, and repeated the same mistake again? At first, these things feel small, almost funny. We even laugh about them. But every repeated action sends a message to people. It tells them whether your words have value or not. There is another habit that quietly destroys respect: making too many jokes about yourself. There is nothing wrong with having fun. There is nothing wrong with making people smile. But if every conversation becomes a joke, if you never know when to be serious, if you keep acting like nothing matters, people slowly stop respecting your words. They start thinking, he is never serious. They stop asking your opinion. They stop trusting your promises. Even when you finally speak from your heart, they assume you are joking again. Respect is not something people give you because you asked for it. Respect comes from consistency, when your words match your actions, when your promises become reality, when people know that if you say something, you actually mean it. So don't try to impress people with loud words. Impress them with quiet consistency. Don't promise 10 things. Keep one promise, then another, then another. Over time, people won't remember how funny you were. They will remember how reliable you were. And reliability is one of the rarest qualities in today's world. If today's story made you stop and think, then don't let it remain just another video you watched. Choose one promise today, only one, and keep it. No excuses, because that's how trust begins, one honest action at a time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to Wali Tales so we can continue learning English while discovering powerful life lessons together. And before you leave, I highly recommend watch my previous story, Just Let It Be. Sometimes the strongest person isn't the one who fights every battle. It is the one who knows which battles are worth leaving behind. I believe that story will help you even more after today's lesson. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and I will see you in the next Wali Tales.
What happens when people stop believing you? Best moral story, Wali Tales. The boy who lost every promise. In a quiet village surrounded by green hills lived a young man named Armin. He was cheerful, friendly, and full of dreams. Everyone liked him because he could tell wonderful stories that made people laugh. But Armin had one dangerous habit. He rarely kept his promises. If I borrow your book, I'll return it tomorrow. Tomorrow became next week. If I help you harvest your crops, I'll come at sunrise. He never arrived. If I repay your money by Friday, I promise. Friday passed. Then another Friday. At first, people forgave him. He's young, they said, he'll learn. But every broken promise quietly removed one brick from the bridge of trust. Months passed. One afternoon, Armin's father became seriously ill. The village doctor lived far away, and Armin ran through the streets shouting, "Please! My father needs help! Someone bring a horse! Someone come with me!" People looked at each other. One man whispered, "Is this another one of his stories?" Another replied, "He has fooled us too many times." Nobody moved. Arman begged with tears in his eyes. This time I'm telling the truth. But truth sounds weak when lies have become your reputation. Finally, an old traveler passing through the village heard the cries. Without asking questions, he rushed Arman to the doctor. The doctor arrived just in time and saved Arman's father. That night, Arman sat outside his home, unable to sleep. He wasn't angry with the villagers. He was angry with himself. I didn't lose their help today, he thought. I lost it little by little, every time I broke my word. The next morning, he visited every house. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He simply said, "From today, my actions will speak." The villagers nodded politely but remained silent. No one believed him. Days became weeks. Whenever Arman promised something, he completed it before anyone reminded him. If he borrowed a tool, he returned it cleaner than before. If he promised to help someone, he arrived early. If he made a mistake, he admitted it immediately instead of making excuses. Still, people remained cautious. One day, a merchant came to the village looking for someone trustworthy to guard valuable goods overnight. Many villagers recommended others. No one mentioned Arman. He quietly smiled. I understand. Months later, heavy rain caused the river to flood. Families rushed to save their belongings. Arman spent the entire night carrying children across the bridge, helping the elderly, and rescuing animals trapped by the water. He never asked for praise. He simply worked until sunrise. The village chief noticed everything. The following week, a purse filled with gold coins was found on the roadside. Without hesitation, Arman searched all day until he found the owner and returned every coin. The wealthy traveler offered him a large reward. Arman refused. I only returned what wasn't mine. News spread through every home. People slowly began saying different things. Have you noticed Arman has changed? He always keeps his word now. You can depend on him. Yet Arman never celebrated. He knew trust grows slowly, like a tree planted from a tiny seed. One winter morning, the same merchant returned. Again, he searched for someone trustworthy. This time, before anyone could speak, the village chief smiled. I know exactly who should guard your goods. He pointed toward Arman. The merchant handed him the keys without hesitation. For 3 days, Arman protected everything faithfully. When the merchant returned, not a single item was missing. You are an honest man, the merchant said. I've heard your story. The greatest people are not those who never fail, but those who change after failure. Years passed. Arman became one of the most respected men in the region. People traveled long distances seeking his advice. Whenever someone asked, how did you earn everyone's trust? He always answered the same way. I stopped trying to convince people with words. I convinced them with years of consistent actions. Then he would add, trust is like a mirror. Once broken, it can be repaired, but the cracks remind us to handle it with care. The young people of the village never forgot his lesson. They realized that success comes from talent. Money comes from work. But respect comes from trust. And trust is earned one honest action at a time. When people stop believing you, don't waste your energy arguing with them. Instead, change your actions. Words may create hope, but only consistent honesty rebuilds trust. Once people see your character over time, belief returns stronger than before.